Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and with Halloween less than 2 weeks away, I can only imagine that under the new anti-burqa law, it's not going to be quite the same vibe in Austria this year. Since wearing anything that covers one's head is now a criminal act, that sort of puts a crimp in masquerading. And according to a news report from last week, Austrian authorities are all about enforcing that law. Case in point, a man who was dressed as a shark to promote a new electronics store in Vienna found out firsthand after he refused a request by police to remove the costume's shark head. The man was fined nearly $200 for his non-compliance. Now, if that can happen to one person wearing a shark head in a single store, think about the field day police will have ticketing all of the offending ghosts, ghouls, and witches prowling the streets during trick-or-treat. To quote the classic basketball movie, White Man Can't Jump, that's too easy, too easy. And that eases us into what's ahead today. Between now and the end of the show, Brett Bale, Jordan Rao, and Will Stoey join me to preview their respective trips to the upcoming state golf championships next week. Andy Mason and I look back at Saturday's Frank Kaiser Cross Country Invitational and look ahead at both the upcoming CMC and county championships. Bob Parsaliti and I catch you up on Week 7's football results. And on that topic, three guys who helped Boonesboro to victory last Friday night, Ben Bergen, Nick Kidwell, and Ryan Nykirk, talk about a Warrior win that tied a long-standing record for their head coach. And that's where we start, right after this.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
When you're sick or hurt and can't be seen by your regular doctor, you just want to feel better faster. Make a convenient appointment or simply walk into Meritus Urgent Care, where you can receive attention from our caring professionals, from sprains and strains to sore throats, earaches, and other ailments that are not life-threatening. Meritus Urgent Care has you covered with on-site labs and x-rays and much more. We're conveniently located on Pennsylvania Avenue in Hagerstown at the Sylvania Center. Feel better faster with Meritus Urgent Care.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue with football now. Boonesboro Warrior football. Warriors fresh off a homecoming win over North Hagerstown on Friday night by a score of 25-12. And joining me now, three of the guys who were very instrumental in that victory: Nick Kidwell, Ben Bergen, and Ryan Nykirk. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for being here. Nick, let me start with you. Friday night, homecoming, first of all, can be a little bit of a distraction. We've talked about that on the show previously. But you go into the game, before it even begins, walk out there, win the coin toss, elect to receive, and then all of a sudden, your return man coughs up the football, North recovers, has the ball in your red zone to start. Not exactly the way you wanted to begin, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, we were all juiced up after the pep rally. We came out ready, but it was a wet field, wet conditions. Isaiah just dropped the ball, but our defense stood tall, and we got the ball back.
Tell me about those field conditions. Just how bad were they? Because I think, when people were sort of looking at it from the outside, like, well, it hasn't rained since like Tuesday. But that field kind of seals that water in that upper level. And I walked out on the field, and in the middle, it was so deep and it was so muddy. How difficult was it for you to get your footing?
Yeah, between the hashes, it was straight in mud. But on the sidelines, it was a little better, so we took advantage of it.
Ben, you're on your home field, but it's not exactly optimal conditions as we've laid out here. But the way that game started, with the fact that you got your backs against the wall, in the long run, did that help to get going in that game from the standpoint that the defense did stand up, as Nick said, and kind of lay a foundation for you guys?
The past couple games, we've been pushed back to start the game, so it's not ideal for what we want to do, and as Coach puts, we're behind schedule. But our defense, in my opinion, is our stronger suit as a team. So I think we can actually push back to where we need to be to get our offense a better chance to score.
Well, you helped that out in the punting game. Finally, you guys were able to flip field position. after their first 3 possessions, they all started on your side of the 50, and then you're able to put the ball inside their 20-yard line. When you are at a disadvantage from a field position standpoint, how difficult is that? Because you had a couple of plays that got you first downs, then penalties call them back. So, I mean, this was just not the start to the game that you wanted, but you have to feel good that you persevered before it was all said and done.
Our offense, it'll push us up to where we need to be, and most of the time we can get our penalties back, like the yardage, but if we can fix those things in practice, and we'll be set and we won't have to lose yardage all the time.
And Ryan, now you and Nick, 2 of the bigger guys on this team, I mean, you're not going to look out there at the Boonesboro football team and not notice 54 and 74. Do you feel like there's a little bit of pressure on the offensive line from the standpoint that you guys really have to get it done in the trenches to make those guys behind you successful?
Yeah, a little bit, because I feel like in the past few years, like, we've been working, or like everyone knows this for our line because we're pretty big, and we've had big running backs that help us push forward, and we usually get our all yards like up the middle. So I feel like there is pressure, but I feel like we perform well. So.
And defensively, you really have to kind of hold your position there. How tough was that? We talked a little bit about the field conditions on Friday night, but did that make it even tougher for you to be able to win those battles in the trenches?
You were slipping a little bit, but we went out and practiced on our practice field, so the 2 days before. So we got used to it a little bit, but it was still pretty rough.
Now, as the game unfolded, you guys were able to get that lead at halftime, go up 6-0. Really, it was just one big play in the first half. The second half, they come out, Nick, and they get a touchdown on their opening drive. So how important was it for you guys to be able to respond to that right away?
Yeah, we just had to get outside, set the edge, and let our backs run. Because if Max gets going, there's not many people who can stop him.
Yeah, he's definitely your speed back for sure. Winds up with 3 touchdowns in that game. Ben, you make a big touchdown catch on a possession where, again, you guys got behind schedule because of a penalty, but you wind up so wide open on 4th down. How in the world did that happen?
I mean, we've kind of been running plays where we have crossing routes and everything like that, so we've been throwing the passing routes to other receivers, and it opened up and as they bit to other receivers and routes, so it worked out for us.
And later in the game, you pinned them at their 1-yard line with a great punt. Then the very next play for them, you nearly had a pick 6. I mean, how close did you come to putting that one in the end zone? I think you were inside the 5-yard line on that play.
It was like the 2-yard line, but I mean, the receiver who I was guarding, he's one of my better friends, Scott Neal, and he's a good player. He's a good athlete and everything. So, I mean, I got my hands on it, but he had a hand on it, and he swatted it away, and it was really close, but it just didn't work out.
And Ryan, how good does it feel to know that you had a hand in Coach Anders tying that all-time record for victories by a head coach in Washington County, now at 205, and going forward this week, you can potentially push him to the top of that list?
It feels great because he works really hard, and he does a great job coaching us and getting us prepared for all the games. So hopefully we can get him his record win.
Well,
soon.
Best of luck coming up on Saturday against Concordia Prep in that one, guys. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll look forward to watching you the rest of the season.
Thank you.
I'll be back right after this. Got more football with Bob Parsaliti in just a moment.
No ropes. No pyro. No entrance music. No signs in the crowd. It's WWC, the Williamsport Wrestling Club. For over 25 years, we've been promoting amateur youth wrestling in the community. Good sportsmanship as well as overall health is fostered through this exciting sport. WWC is fun for the whole family.
At Hamilton Nissan, we know you've got places to go, so let's travel together. The Nissan Rogue, plenty of room for you, and plenty of room for him. With nearly 40 cubic feet of cargo space, everyone will be using the Rogue for everything, all the time. And on occasion, you'll find an evening for yourselves, and the Nissan Rogue will be right there with you. Hamilton Nissan. Let's travel together. Come see us on the Dual Highway.
Welcome back to the show. More football now. And joining me for this segment, Herald Mail insider Bob Parsiliti. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me on.
The football week got an early start last Thursday with St. James at home against Central Maryland Christian, and we wondered just how the Saints might respond given all the injuries they absorbed the previous week. Well, I'd say they did pretty well. A 53-8 win by the Saints on Thursday.
Well, it wasn't what anybody expected, I don't think. I mean, they actually played without 7 or 8 starters, and I mean major starters. John Meshie didn't play, who's a big receiver for him. Chase Osingo didn't play. He's a major receiver for him. They lost a couple of linemen. One right before the game wasn't cleared to play. They lost a defensive end for a while. They lost some of the secondary. So they spent the entire day playing chess, moving people around and fitting the pieces on the board in order to play, and they responded pretty well.
Yeah, scored 8 touchdowns, forced 7 turnovers. It was really the Jalen Anderson show, both offensively and defensively, although TJ Quillette with 3 interceptions in the game. So all around, a tremendous result for St. James against a team that came in with the exact same record and a team that St. James had not beaten. And now the Saints will host Flint Hill, who's 6-0 on Saturday. That is a different animal there.
Well, that's going to be really interesting because I think part of this game that they pulled off against Central Maryland was trying not to show anything.
Be as vanilla as possible.
Yeah, because, I mean, by now they know that Tyler Groshot is out.
Right. Make Flint Hill guess.
Yeah, and they're trying to make them guess and try to make it so that they don't know what they're going to see, right. And I think you're going to see something interesting. One play that they ran a few times that I think is going to come into play somewhere is they used Quillette as a wildcat.
Yeah.
And I think that come Saturday, it'll be a wildcat with somebody else running it.
Yeah, that will be interesting. We'll see what they come up with. Williamsport defeated Frederick 46-7. I think a lot of us saw that coming. Williamsport expected to win that game. It didn't start well for the Wildcats, but then they got the offense in gear.
Well, they have a habit of really starting slow for many times. I mean, in the early part of the season until they started hitting this stride, But the combination of Jacob Ball and Kayvon Carter seemed to be the batteries, the AA batteries to make them run. And as long as that's going, and Ryan McLaughlin is on a great roll. I think he has 4 touchdowns in 4 straight games, and 2 of them come off defense. They play pretty well, and as long as they can do that, they could be okay.
Well, I love the quote from senior lineman Janari Carroll. "We're a bunch of skinny dudes in a buffet line. We're ready to eat." And so far, so good this season for Williamsport, as they have had a voracious appetite, now 5-2 after that win. But they go to South Hagerstown on Friday. The Rebels will not be in a good mood after a 23-20 loss in overtime to Urbana, a game that South Hagerstown really, in large part, gave away. Yeah. It was a Friday the 13th, and it seemed like if you're superstitious and you're a member of the South Hagerstown team, all of those things lined up to go against you.
You can go with that, or you can go with trends, and that is that South is 0-4 on the road and 3-0 at home.
That too, yeah. I mean, that certainly plays in. And Urbana had a chance to score a touchdown late in the game, dropped a wide-open touchdown pass. They come back and get it on a 4th down, go to overtime. The South defense, which was kind of bend but don't break all game long, holds Urbana to a field goal in overtime. Urbana's 3rd of the game, and then South with the football, chance to win the game, 1st down. Talik McKenzie loses the ball. Urbana recovers it. But as you said, when you look at trends, South Hagerstown, too, back home where they have not lost this season. And Williamsport hasn't beaten South the last 7 times they played.
That's right. And the other thing that's going for South that they have to keep in mind is even though they lost the other day, they're still number 4 seed in the 3A West.
Yeah, some things broke their way.
But yeah, I mean, there's like 6 teams that are tied for at 3 and 4 for that right. 4th slot, and one of them is North Hagerstown.
Yeah, that's it's really turning out to be interesting here as we come down to the end of the season. These final 3 weeks will dictate a lot. Smithsburg beat Brunswick 24-18. Suddenly, the Leopards have the longest winning streak of any county team at 3 in a row.
At this point last year, Connor McCune hit the forefront. And right now, he is it. I mean, the last couple of weeks, he's had a lot of yardage running, and a lot of touchdowns, and he's been the catalyst of that offense with the help of Corey Jackson, but he's been the catalyst that really has made them travel, and that was what happened last year when they got on their run.
Yeah, after being outscored 120-43 and starting 0-3, now they've outscored their last opponents 121-24 in winning their last three. They'll take on James Buchanan, who comes in at 1-6 on Friday. Hancock's won 2 in a row. The Panthers beat up on 100 55-12. And talk about a team that's turned it around from a point scoring standpoint, that would be Hancock.
You have to give credit to Bill Sterner. He's an artist when it comes to schedules. I mean, he knows that he's got to find teams that their whole goal is just to be competitive. Mm-hmm. And he knows if he's going up against the Fort Hills and the South Hagerstowns of the world out in this area, they're going to get just pounded because they don't have the size, they don't have the players, and they don't have the student body to draw from. So, they've taken their lumps because of injuries and things like that, but they're finally hitting stride.
Yeah, the Panthers have scored 99 points in their last 2 games. They'll travel to play a team in Massanutten Military Academy who allowed 82 in their last game. So it seems like a favorable matchup potentially for Hancock coming up on Friday. And Berkeley Springs beat up on Clear Spring 53-6. The Blazers dropped their 3rd in a row since beating Hancock, with the average score being 42-6. So things are just headed in the wrong direction, obviously, for the Blazers, and injuries a big part of that.
Injuries are a huge part of it. I mean, they're on that baseline where they need to, have everybody healthy to play. Cole Easterday's been having troubles all year staying healthy, and that really takes away a lot from their offense.
And now at 1-6, Clear Spring will be at 6-1. Southern Garrett coming up on Friday. That's football for this week. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Thanks for having me.
I'm back right after this. Cross Country's next with Andy Mason when you come back.
Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier martial arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. You wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue with cross country now. And this past Friday, as we set up last week, the Frank Kaiser Invitational at Boonesboro. Largest ever, 51 schools competing this past Saturday. Andy Mason, sports editor from the Herald Mail, joins me now. And Andy, as it relates to the county itself, what are your takeaways?
Well, it was, like you said, hugely competitive meet. All those schools, now they're sort of divided in half. We had small school in the morning, large school in the afternoon. Washington County didn't have any champions, didn't have anyone even really close to winning championships, individual or team titles. I think our one hope for an individual title, Nate Neely from North, who was on his nice win streak coming in, who had won a few big invitationals heading in, he gets 6th in the large school race. I know he's probably disappointed. I know his fans, his people, and him, I'm sure thought he could win that race. It was 1 in 14:58. 3 miles, that's a blazing fast time. That's probably a little beyond what Nate can run. He finished 6th in 15:32. He probably, he probably has 15:20 in him. I don't think he's quite ready to break 15. He's just a junior. I don't think he's quite there yet. But getting 6th place, still very good. He was 20 seconds faster than last year. Last year he was 5th in the big school race. Maybe his best race all last year as a sophomore. He runs 15:52 and gets 5th. This year he's 20 seconds faster, gets 6th. So still a pretty strong performance. Medals went to the top 15 in each race, and we had a few of those. Cameron Harper from Boonesboro got 11th in the small school girls race. I don't think she had a fantastic race, but she got 11th. She had the top county time, 19:19. Emily Alexander from South was 14th. She got a medal, 19:32. She's not too far behind Harper, and I believe that 19:32 is the fastest time ever run by a South girl for 3 miles. I think maybe for 3 miles. So I don't know that for sure, but I think that's the case. Small school boys race, Garrett Kirchhoff from Smithsburg, just a junior, maybe had the best race of his life, probably did. Cracked 16 minutes for the first time, 15:57. He was a minute and 2 seconds faster than last year. And Henry Schmidt, a minute and 27 seconds from last year, the junior from Boonesboro, ran 16:10 and got 15th.
Yeah, I think the thing that I was surprised about, not how well necessarily those guys did, but some of the proven quantities that the names that you weren't hearing there at the top, such as a Ben Hardings or a Donovan McClellan, those guys from Boonesboro, especially on their home course, I thought that they might be bigger players in that whole thing.
Yeah, well, it was tough. I mean, McClellan's, he got off to a slow start this season. I don't even think he committed to running till the season was about to begin. He wasn't sure if he was even going to run, and he was their number 2 runner on Saturday, and 16:35, 12 seconds faster than last year. Ben Hardings, the Frank Kaiser's not his race. He was 33rd place, 16:50, not a bad time. 15 seconds faster than last year, but he's capable of running faster. I think he has on that course.
How about Iggy Chalker from Williamsport? I mean, that's a pretty impressive performance by a sophomore.
Yeah, 20th place in the small school boys race, 16:25, one of the top sophomore finishers, and he was 70 seconds faster than he was as a freshman on that course last year. So a lot of those guys are improving.
What did we learn in terms of the teams? Because we've got the CMC championships coming up, and then of course county. We always look at that, and we're focusing mainly on Washington County.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the CMC championships back at Boonesboro Friday afternoon. They start at 1 p.m. Kids are off school, so it's, something you want to go watch. Should be fun. I'll be there. The favorites there, so they're going to run everyone together, which I think is great. Both divisions, Spires and Gambrel. And then at the end, they're going to have overall champions and break it down to who won, small school, big school. I think the overall champions, the favorites are the Linganore boys, Oakdale girls, and then probably an Oakdale sweep for the small school. Boonesboro has its work. They're our strongest team, both sides. They have their work cut out for them. But then next Thursday at Clear Spring, we have the county championships. And Boonesboro girls should win that easily. I'm going to call the Boonesboro boys the favorite to win their 5th straight county title on the boys' side, but it'll be close.
That's going to be contentious.
Yeah. As North really wants it. On Saturday, North was in the large school boys race at Frank Kaiser, and we had Boonesboro and Smithsburg in the small school. And I broke out all the times from those races and made it like a tri-meet, and it came out on the boys' side, Boonesboro 37, North 42, Smithsburg 45. So that tells you sort of where they are. They weren't racing each other there, with North. But
not a lot of separation.
Not a lot of separation. Now, both Boonesboro and Smithsburg have more depth than North. I believe Boonesboro had 7 guys in front of North's 5. Smithsburg had 6 in front of North's 5. So North needs its top 5 to be on if they have any chance of pulling this off.
Wow, it should be very interesting. It sounds like could be any of 3 schools race there in terms of the boys when it comes to the county meet. So we'll look forward to that. Andy, thanks for being here this week.
Thanks for having me.
I'm back right after this. I've got 3 golfers headed to states. They'll be here when you come back in just a moment.
Antietam Broadband's Flight Gigabit service is ultra high-speed internet delivered by a direct fiber connection. We are one of the few communities in the country to have it. But what does it mean? It means businesses will want to move here, which means more jobs, better jobs. It means access to world-class infrastructure for healthcare, education, and nonprofits. It means enhanced social and economic well-being. That's why it won the 2017 Leading Edge Award from the Chamber of Commerce. Flight Gigabit from Antietam Broadband, changing how people connect.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with golf, and I've got 3 golfers who are bound for the state tournament next week. Brett Bale from Smithsburg, Will Stilley from South Hagerstown, and Jordan Rao from Boonesboro. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been a good season for all 3 of you, obviously, as you're ready to head off to states next week, starting on Monday for you, Will. Tell me a little bit about your season to this point and the fact that after the county tournament, you had to bow out of the CMC championships with a shoulder injury. I mean, where does that stand right now?
Yeah, well, I was playing pretty good through 12 holes, and the 13th hole I ended up pulling out. But my shoulder right now, I mean, I feel like I'm ready. I told everybody I'm playing no matter what happens. Senior year, I got to.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's sore. It fatigues pretty easily. I get pretty tired after hitting so many shots, but I'm going to be there on Monday.
Well, the only 4A, 3A state qualifier from Washington County, and you were at states last year. So what does the experience of having been there last year do for you this year? What do you take away from that?
I think the nerves are going to be a little more settled this year, not going to be so antsy on them tee shots and little short putts, but the experience is definitely going to play and will help me out. It's going to be a little advantage for me, but I mean, both these guys, he's been there 4 times, he's been there twice, so I mean, it's not going to be too much of an advantage.
Yeah, and Jordan, as far as the experience that you had, it's been a year since you've been there. You weren't there last year. You were there your sophomore year, but you seem to be playing some of your best golf right now. So what's your excitement level with getting back to the University of Maryland?
It was a rough year last year, and I couldn't find the consistency. But this year, it kind of carried over than this year too. But I came around tournament time, and the past 3 or 4 tournaments that I've had were the best 4 scores that I've gotten all high school, my whole high school career. So. The confidence level's high going into states, but just looking forward to, capping off the senior year with a good score.
Yeah, how hungry are you? I mean, after getting a win at counties, that has to feel terrific.
Yep.
And now to have a chance to go one step further, the ultimate goal, of course, for all golfers is to get to states. So, your anticipation level has to be pretty high.
Right. I played the course this weekend, and it's did pretty well, so I'm hoping to just cap it off this coming week, have a good score.
Brett, as Will pointed out, this is your 4th time going back to states, and every time you've improved. And I remember talking to you before states last year, and you said, well, I'd like to be a top 10 golfer before all is said and done. Now they've divided things up between 4A, 3A, and 2A, 1A. You would have been the 2A, 1A champion last year. So tell me about your mindset heading in this time around.
I'm feeling very confident. I've been playing really well recently, just a couple of dumb mistakes really. Other than that, I've been playing really well recently, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
and I don't mean to bring up any negativity here, but really, you could have won at districts, and you could have won the county tournament potentially. So how do you put those things in the back of your mind, or just clear your mind entirely to go out and do what you have to do now at states?
I mean, those were actually good things that those happened, because I've learned a lot from those, so I can use that experience in the state tournament. So I think those honestly helped me.
And how much does it help you to have your team going with you? Because unlike Will and Jordan, you will have your teammates there at least on day number 1.
It'll be a lot of fun. We've qualified as a team before, and it's always nice having the team down there to support you and everything.
And what do you glean from the experience that you've had there before? Again, you're more experienced than any of these guys here on that course.
What I take from my experience there is a lot of just don't try and pull off shots that you shouldn't try to pull off there. Like, always try and play smart, because you don't want, like, that hole at counties make a big number and then you're out of it. So a bogey down there can be a good score.
And Will, what are you working on right now besides just wanting the shoulder to hold up? I mean, what part of your game do you feel like you need to improve upon before you get there?
Mine's probably going to be driving the ball, just because, one, with this shoulder, driving the ball is going to be a little difficult because I really can't be swinging hard at it. So I just got to find a way just to get in play and have a chance. Just be able to make pars and make birdies when I have the opportunity.
And Jordan, what are you doing well right now that you just need to continue to do?
Well, I'm really hitting the tee shot well, and I'm putting pretty good. I just need to get consistent with my irons. Once I get that down, I should be all right.
Well, best of luck to all of you guys. I'm playing on day number 2. I know that's the goal there at State. So thanks so much for being here. And again, we wish you the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next week on the show, State Golf. Also got cross country, next week, the CMC Championships to talk about. Also, the soccer draws next week and Week 8 of the football season. It's going to be a busy one. Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for watching this time. Until then, I'll see you on the inside.